have any hemlock. If you have a hemlock tree, I don't want you to eat that. We all know that's poison. Because this morning, you're going to hear some comedy. You got to have comedy waking up. And you've got to have comedy to get you in the mood through that really special show that comes on at 9 o'clock on this station. And I want to warn you about comedy. Sometimes it makes you laugh. Sometimes it's a little bit outrageous. You just got to go with the flow and you got to listen. That's all I want you to do. It's the same thing if I were asking you to listen to my opening statement of my trial or my closing argument. But if you tuned in just because you want to get a lot of legal content, well, this is what I'm going to tell you. Call me at the office at 877-525-0700 if you need an employee lawyer. I've been doing this since 1993. 877-525-0700 gets you Karl Gerber of the Employment Lawyers Group. 877-525-0700 if you've been fired from your job for a medical condition, or you're not being paid fair wages, you're not being paid minimum wage, you're not getting overtime, your overtime is being paid to you at the wrong rate. All right, enough of that legal stuff. We're here to have a good time this morning, and that's what we're going to do. But I think our little comedy sketch just happens to have something to do with employment law. I wouldn't do it any other way, and it just has something to do with workplaces. And I think that our guest coming in has a really fine country accent. She lost her job and believes she has a case of wrongful termination. She has not been able to find a job. Therefore, she has a credible claim for, at the very least, past lost wages.
Well, before we start anything, I want to thank you for having me on the show.
The pleasure is mine. It's been a long time since I've had a guest I didn't know on the radio.
Well, thank you for making me your first outside guest in a long time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, from me too. The honor is mine.
Thank you.
I can't thank you enough for having me on the air.
Yes.
I am serious. I am truly grateful.
Yes.
I just can't thank you enough for having me on the air.
No.
Not no. It's a yes. I am very, very thankful for this opportunity to be on your show.
Can we move past this?
What?
All the thanks?
Well, what do you mean?
Can we move on to the case of wrongful termination?
Oh. Well, it's just that every time they have somebody on the air on that other station, they always spend lots and lots and lots of time thanking the radio personalities, letting them phone in. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Not necessarily for half an hour, though.
Oh, geez, did it take that long? No, I don't think so. Now I understand this is different because I'm not phoning in. I don't have to thank you?
I want to dive right into the facts surrounding your termination of employment.
Well, I complained about some things.
What things?
Do I have to say?
The fact that you complained and then got fired is the fundamental nature of wrongful termination, but what you actually complained about also matters. It has to be illegal.
Well, I don't know if what they did was illegal.
What did they do?
Well, if I tell you, will you tell me if it is wrongful termination?
If you don't tell me, I won't tell you anything.
Huh? Well, what do you want to know?
Well, I was wondering how any working moms are going to get to work now that middle school has to start no earlier than 8:30, and a lot of them have to head over the hill to work in Century City, and it's a good half hour and a half and 2 hours and 3 hours to get maybe 6 to 10 miles over those canyons.
Well, I don't know anything about that.
I merely said there's a lot of unequal treatment towards women in the workplace. Economically also. That's what I meant, at least.
Is that why your wife has an iPhone 8 and you and your sons are onto the latest double-digit numbers?
How did you know that?
Well, she showed me down into this studio.
Well, she likes to navigate with a button. That's why she has an iPhone 8. Look, I did not have you come down here to discuss why some people like home buttons.
The stuff they did to me at work, I don't think they did it because I am a woman.
Well, just this evening, I was reviewing the web statistics to one of the websites for the Employment Lawyers Group, worklawyerca.com. That's all one word, by the way. The oddest trend is that at this stage, after maybe a lot of people work from home or got computers, mobile traffic has gone down from being 2/3 of the visitors to the website, maybe more, to being only 1/3.
Well, that is weird. I thought more and more people use their phones to view the internet.
Well, upon further digging, I realized that at least 25% of the mobile traffic we still got was all for the web pages about sexual harassment. Suspect that women were more apt to look at content related to sexual harassment and sexual abuse, and given their economic inequalities, they're relying on cell phones because that's all they have. They don't have computers.
I have a computer.
In proving a lot of forms of discrimination in employment and proving wage and hour instances of wage theft, we employment lawyers look at trends, statistical samples, Giselle. The more I looked into the fact, the more mobile users were higher incidence of women when most web users had transitioned to desktops at this stage in the pandemic. And looking at the pages viewed, I'm convinced it's economic inequality. What illegal things did you complain about at your job that got you fired?
Well, I just asked them what minimum wage was.
Why?
I wasn't sure. But when I did the math, they were paying me $6.14 an hour.
Oh, that's a minimum wage violation.
Well, I can't say whether they were paying everybody $6.14 an hour or it was just me.
Such an odd amount.
That's what I thought.
How long did you work at this place?
14 weeks.
And you said they paid you $6.14 an hour?
That's what it added up to.
Is there some kind of dispute maybe about how many hours you worked, and you're claiming many more hours worked, so based upon the number of hours you worked, it only adds up to $6.14 an hour?
Well, I asked them about the pay, and they said that's normal.
$6.14 an hour?
Well, no, the 14 cents.
What exactly was this job?
I was upstairs doing the accounts receivable.
$6.14 an hour is not exactly the going rate for doing AR work these days.
It was my first job.
Okay, moving right along.
Well, right after I complained about the $6.14 an hour, they fired me. They said if it wasn't enough for me, I'd have to leave.
Oh, we should definitely do this case. I mean, this is plain wrong, crystal clear.
I want to sue for the minimum wage pay they owe me.
Oh, we will. There's statutory penalties, interest, and they have to pay your attorney fees and costs when you win. What city was this job in?
Not sure.
It matters. It matters where you work. Minimum wage is different in different cities, different counties, too.
Well, this job was definitely in Los Angeles County. Maybe it was Fresno County. Oh, Mr. Gerber, you know where Porterville is?
Porterville? That's in Tulare County.
You're right. It's sort of far from L.A.
Were you living in Porterville?
No, the San Fernando Valley area.
You commuted all the way from the San Fernando Valley for a $6.14 an hour job?
No, you're right. The job was in the valley.
Giselle, Porterville is almost 200 miles from where we are now in Studio City.
200 miles?
Do you have a pay stub?
I suspected you'd ask for one.
The pay stub would have the name and address of this company you work for. If it doesn't, it would be a California Labor Code 226 violation.
That's what they all say. Mm-hmm.
They all say?
Well, on TV.
A lawyer doing a commercial?
No, on those FBI shows.
They talk about pay stubs?
Did I say that?
So you don't have a pay stub?
Well, let me look.
Let us know if you find one on your phone with the button for the home page.
I am not looking for a pay stub on my phone.
Then why are you on it? Well, the clock is ticking and I'm not getting paid by the hour.
Oh, I'm finishing up an Instacart order my boyfriend started.
I prefer not to leave the listeners waiting in the lurch while you finish up an Instacart order with your boyfriend.
Well, hold on. It'll just take a minute.
I think this is a good time to take a break. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. If you have a case about pay stub violations, minimum wage, call 877-525-0700 during the week. That's 877-525-0700 for an honest-to-God wrongful termination lawyer. 877-525-0700 during the week for my office. We would love to talk to you if you could please call.
Employee alert. Employee alert. Were you ripped off out of commissions or overtime pay? Were you fired because of a medical condition or pregnancy? Did you not get proper meal or rest breaks? Were you denied maternity or paternity leave? Were you sexually harassed by your boss or coworker? Call the Employment Lawyers Group. They've stood up for the rights of employees since the 90s, going up against the nation's largest employers in cases including wrongful termination. Check them out at employeelawca.com. Call the Employment Lawyers Group now at 877-525-0700, and an experienced employee lawyer will tell you if you have a case against a past or present employer. Find out if you have a case now. Call 877-525-0700 and talk to an experienced employment discrimination lawyer. The Employment Lawyers Group. Make your work problem theirs to solve. Call 877-525-0700. 877-525-0700. Lawyer will tell you if you have a case against
This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Go Country 105. I'm Karl Gerber. I'm a real workplace lawyer broadcasting right now from my own ranch, the Gerber Ranch, in the Studio City Hills. Yes, that's really the fact, and that's really the truth. That's where I'm broadcasting from, and I really am a rancher. I've got things on this ranch you would not believe. But I do also want to impress upon you that I am an employment lawyer, and I can talk to crazy guests, I can talk to crazy clients, and I can talk to crazy managers and supervisors that might have done you or your family member wrong. The point is, you're going to call me at 877-525-0700 if you need to hire an employment lawyer. That's 877-525-0700 during the week. You're going to be calling the Employment Lawyers Group with offices throughout Southern California because we take on all types of cases against employers. We have been doing it for a long time, since 1993. The we is me. And you're going to get me on the case in some shape or form, which is a good thing because I can write and script anything. I can argue a case. I know employment law backwards and forwards and upside down. And you're going to know more about that as you listen to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. You can also go to the Karl Gerber with a K channel if you want to catch up on old episodes, because guess what? There's a lot of them that are kind of like what you're hearing this morning. It's a little bit different. I hope you're finding it funny. I hope you're not offended. But look, comedy has got to get people thinking about things maybe they wouldn't think about otherwise. So here you go. Let's get more into it. Before we broke for an unnecessarily long time because my guest Giselle was going to look for a pay stub to see exactly where her employer was located, whether it was in Porterville or the San Fernando Valley, which are 200 miles apart. But apparently she is slightly confused, and she was finishing up an Instacart order her boyfriend started. Well, where exactly were we?
Well, you'd know better than me.
I need to research this employer of yours that paid you $6.14 an hour. The truth is, most of the time when employers are underpaying employees, it drastically undercut minimum wage. They're not collectible employers. And after all, I take these cases on a contingency. I advance all the costs, the fees.
Well, I can tell you the name of the company.
That would help. I'll look them up right now.
Your future is in our encapsulation.
Mine? What encapsulation?
That's who I worked for. You are probably wondering if this is a good case, and I am wondering if my boyfriend, soon-to-be husband, will be home when the Instacart order comes.
I found this company's website located in Sun Valley, California.
So that's in Porterville.
No, Sun Valley is near North Hollywood, and Studio City is near North Hollywood.
Then where's Hollywood?
Oh, southeast of North Hollywood, but more east and south. Is that true?
Well, then where are we?
In the underground recording studio used for this show.
I mean, where are we with you taking my case?
Look at this on my phone. It's a late model iPhone. Is this the address you worked at?
Yeah, that's it. It's in Los Angeles County.
Where minimum wage is now $16.04 an hour.
You see, lots of odd amounts with the 4.
I think they could have made it easier for employees in Los Angeles County to figure out overtime and avoid it the extra 4 cents. It probably measures up to some metric of inflation.
Do you go by there a lot, where my old employer was?
We had a previous show sponsor who owns a rather large swath of land in that vicinity. Actually, most of Sun Valley, minus the various dumps, cement plants, the high school, the pick your parts.
Isn't that most of the city?
That's not nice. But yes, that former show sponsor does own most of Sun Valley, California, but that's all in the past on the Karl Gerber with the K channel on YouTube.
Do you think you've ever gone by my old employer's location?
Well, come to think of it, I think I'm familiar with that street. Isn't it a residential street? Somebody used to work for me lived there.
Yes, we were working out of a house.
I'm sensing it's just too small of an employer to sue. I can refer the case to some lawyers I know who don't have large-scale offices or staff that can take the case, that kind of case.
Oh, that would be so great.
Well, the lawsuit can be filed on Monday.
Oh, good. I need the money really soon.
Just because the lawsuit's filed, that doesn't mean it's going to settle the next day.
It won't?
No, if you want real money, the case has to be worked up. But you have to serve the lawsuit, get a trial date, let the employer know you won't take $1,000 to settle the case, get all the pay stubs that either have no hourly wage on them or perhaps do state $6.14 an hour, because that is a bit hard to believe.
The 14 cents an hour thing?
Well, not that. The company isn't Sun Valley after all.
Did that area raise minimum wage to some figure with the 14 in it?
Yeah, I know there was some lobbying for that, but it didn't go through. Well, it's getting a little later in the 8 o'clock hour now, and I know that more and more people are getting up and they're tuning in and they're saying, what in the world am I listening to? Well, you're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, and I am a real workplace lawyer, and I'm also sitting here with this guest, Giselle, and, it's a little bit weird, but that's the way it is with employment law. Cases are a little bit weird, and that's what makes them exciting. If they weren't a little bit weird, I don't think the jury would want to listen to them. If you're a trial lawyer like I am, you want a case with interesting facts and you want interesting clients, kind of like Giselle, because the audience, the jury or the judge gets kind of into that when it's a story and it's a little bit different. A little bit different can be good. We do this kind of stuff on the radio to get our listeners interested, to wake them up in the morning, sometimes at night. If they want comedy, they're listening on another station for that. And comedy is a way to express things in a little bit more of an indirect way. Because sometimes if you come at people with your message a little bit too direct, they don't like it. But I do say this program is a clean program. Don't worry about that. It's not going to be anything too over the top in that sense. We're always FCC rated, but we want to have a good time when it comes to comedy. We want to hear good music and good stuff, and we're going to start having variety acts come on this show too. You just wait and see.
Employee alert. Employee alert. Were you ripped off out of commissions or overtime pay? Were you fired because of a medical condition or pregnancy? Did you not get proper meal or rest breaks? Were you denied maternity or paternity leave? Were you sexually harassed by your boss or coworker? Call the Employment Lawyers Group. They've stood up for the rights of employees since the 90s, going up against the nation's largest employers in cases including wrongful termination. Check them out at employeelawca.com. Call the Employment Lawyers Group now at 877-525-0700, and an experienced employee lawyer will tell you if you have a case against a past or present employer. Find out if you have a case now. Call 877-525-0700 and talk to an experienced employment discrimination lawyer. The Employment Lawyers Group. Make your work problem theirs to solve. Call 877-525-0700. 877-525-0700.
This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Go Country 105.1, and we're having a sketch this morning, and I hope some of you are finding it funny. And when I wrote this, I had absolutely no thought about anything political. We're just having fun with something weird. And I got to tell you that a lot of these sketches that I do are based upon actual events that have either happened in my employment cases, or sometimes are people calling me on the phone with just a really weird scenario. And I do not lie to you on this. The scenario you're hearing is very, very close to what I heard from a woman calling me on the phone. And some of the answers she gave me are very similar to what you're hearing Giselle say. So if you think this is weird, welcome to the life of an employment lawyer. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy being an employment lawyer. If it was just all straightforward, it wouldn't be fun. I'm a people person. I listen to people very closely, and I find that very interesting to listen to them. I listen to them for accents, inflections in their voices, for being responsive to my questions, not responsive. These are things that you learn to do as a lawyer, but I think also as a sociologist. And I look at these cases, I want to understand where my client is coming from, the employee. I do want to understand where the employer is coming from too, because I think it matters. I think you got to be fair. You don't want to just be going after someone if it's just a mistake they made. You want to let them kind of pay up, be done with it. This is not a punitive damage sort of a case. But I listen closely to what people are saying, and that's where a lot of this comedy comes from. These are situations that are not so far from what I've heard in depositions. I've heard them when people call me at 877-525-0700. They want to hire an employment lawyer. And I want you to enjoy these as much as the public has the last 4 or more years. Believe me, they have. And there's been hundreds of thousands of people that have listened to this stuff. And if you want more of it, you can go to the Karl Gerber with a K channel on YouTube. There are many old episodes of this show on there. Right now, I'm on numerous radio stations and I'm recording hours of content every week. And so I'm not putting a lot of the stuff on YouTube. I do hope to. I also am saying that this show is going to start having other acts too, musical acts and perhaps country comedians. So if you are a comedian, I do want you to contact me. If you want to be on this show, if you're a country act, I'd love to have you on this show. The studio I have here can take any input. We can have banjo players, whatever you want. I've got a guest in the studio named Giselle. If you have a real legal problem, please, on the employment front, call me at 877-525-0700.
Well, I just don't know. What am I going to do? I have a wedding coming up and I was wrongfully fired. I don't have any money. It costs more in gas to get to that job than they paid me.
When is your wedding?
Well, we don't have a date set yet, but we have to get married before the end of next month.
Oh, I see. Wait, I thought we weren't going to get into that whole controversial thing with the Supreme Court.
Well, the Viking Cruise case where they decided people who sign the arbitration agreements can't go to court to do their PAGA penalties in addition to their label code violations for unpaid wages?
No, the case most people are talking about, not the one with concealed weapons.
That's not why I'm getting married.
You've got family coming?
Well, it's just one of those strange things my boyfriend and I decided. We put a limit on things. We gotta get married before the end of next month. We decided this before I even took that job.
Well, couldn't you postpone the wedding on account of being unemployed?
We can't. We set a term limit.
What do you mean?
We have to obey by the due date.
What due date?
At the end of August, my boyfriend has got to make a jumbo payment on our mortgage.
Why do you have to get married before your boyfriend makes a jumbo payment on a mortgage?
Well, he can't make the payment now that I don't have a job.
And why do you have to get married before he can't make a mortgage jumbo payment?
Well, we want to enjoy our honeymoon.
How are you going on a honeymoon if you can't afford to make a monthly mortgage payment and you got fired?
Well, that's where I need your help.
I told you, I can't get the lawsuit over with that quickly.
Do you know where I could get married on the cheap?
Did you ever have a location set?
Well, we had a couple of ideas.
What were you thinking?
It's either a hotel or those gardens in Canada.
La Canada?
L.A., Canada.
I think it's best that you and I stay away from any geographical references.
Why?
The little excursion we had between whether your job was in Porterville or Los Angeles County.
Well, the garden place is very nice. We could get great pictures there. It would be outside, which is good for a lot of people these days.
And you should get married there.
A friend of mine did it and didn't pay.
I wouldn't pay.
Well, you have to.
Why?
They were hassling my friend when they were taking pictures.
Who was taking pictures?
Her other friends.
Why all the picture taking, the friends?
That's what they do at weddings.
Weddings?
There is some rental fee depending on where you want your wedding at this Descanoe.
Your friend didn't pay.
They got suspicious and said you can't take wedding pictures here if you didn't pay.
Well, how were they dressed?
Oh, everybody was dressed up.
In wedding clothes?
Well, for sure, yeah. She had a dress and flowers, and he was wearing a suit.
Well, why didn't they pay?
Wrongful termination.
Them too?
Hey, wrongful termination costs not just the employer, but the employee. It really messes with their lives.
You went to this wedding you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. I was her maid of honor.
The whole wedding was in the park, but they didn't get a permit to have a wedding?
Well, when the people from Des Canoe came by, we just said we were just taking pictures.
Wasn't sort of obvious?
Well, we just said we were just a bunch of friends that got together there.
In wedding attire.
Well, only her and I had matching dresses.
Right. The groom wasn't wearing a suit.
Well, his dad and his best friend were matching. His brother, too. They all had powder blue tuxes.
So they were all wearing suits.
Aren't those suits?
I can't say I normally wear a powder blue tux to court or a deposition.
Well, what about when you're on Zoom?
That's different, and I definitely like to wear a powder blue tux, but I don't own one.
Now that we're really covering the whole wedding thing, I don't think it would be a good idea to get married in the Des Canoe Gardens. They might recognize me.
Oh, that's a good point. They've probably got the picture of the wedding party up there in their security shack in case any of you ever pull a stunt like that again.
Getting married?
Not paying.
Well, same thing.
You should postpone the wedding.
If we sue, do you think the judge will do that?
No, and I don't think that would be legal. In this country, for a civil case, for a judge to postpone a wedding due to a defaulting defendant?
Well, it should be allowed if they're allowed to put a picture of the wedding party in the security office.
It wouldn't be a very good picture. Maybe a shot from a surveillance video. You probably can't tell the groomsmen were wearing powder blue even. They aren't infringing the copyright of your friend's wedding photographer. There was a wedding photographer there, right?
Well, luckily, the groom's brother is a photographer, so they didn't have to hire one.
Was he in the pictures too?
Well, for the group shots.
It seems that the gardens are out of for your wedding location.
Well, then it's gonna be in a hotel.
Do you have one in mind?
Oh, it's the coolest place.
Maybe you should name the hotel on the radio big that you're not paying. Anything to get married there?
Oh, that was a close one. Oh.
In fact, how are you going to have a wedding in a hotel if you aren't going to pay?
Well, a lot of the doors to those banquet rooms, well, they're just open.
But there aren't any chairs in there.
Well, usually there's chairs stacked up like by the wall.
Is this wedding where there's a big long ceremony, or is it just a short ceremony and then it's all about taking pictures somewhere nice?
Both.
How many people are you inviting?
His mom, uncle, 36, the Perez family, the Andersons, the Vasquezes, about 75 to 80 people.
75 or 80 people, and you're just going to show up to a hotel and not pay anything?
Why not?
Well, that's a lot of people.
Oh, I forgot some. The Goldmans, the Helms.
The Helms? No!
Yes, I have to invite them. That's how I met my husband.
And that's why you're on this show, isn't it?
No, because I met my husband.
Oh, brother. Wowee! I don't even know what to say. We've heard quite a bit this morning, and we're going to hear more because my understanding is Giselle is planning on coming back next week. It's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it, and you're going to tune into this show every Sunday from 8 to 9. You're going to learn about employment law because you're going to hear bits and pieces of it. You're going to hear the names of certain rights that you might have, and you're going to know where to call if you want more information on those rights. You're going to call 877-525-0700 for the Employment Lawyers Group. You might talk to me, Karl Gerber, because I am a real workplace lawyer, and all I do is represent employees. So now you've got a friend that's an employment lawyer, and that's a great thing. This show is going to be developing as it has for the last 4+ years all over the place. And for this station, I think it's going to be appropriate to kind of have like I'm telling you, a variety show with comedians and country acts And we're going to have magicians too, because I want you to be able to see some of that sleight of hand. You can see it really well on radio. I really enjoy magical acts on radio. That's one of my favorite things. I tune in all the time to see magical acts on the radio. But if you are an act and you're thinking maybe you want to be on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, you're going to call me at 877-525-0700. You might go to Workplace Lawyer, which is all one word, .org, workplacelawyer.org, also tells you how to get in contact with me for this show and the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer shows that are broadcast throughout, because we're always looking for talent to be on the shows, and that just makes it all the more fun, especially if they're a listener from the station. They know exactly the kind of genre and the kind of message that we're trying to drive to our listeners on the station, and it's just someone from our community. It's one of us, right? So that's the way to go. So Karl Gerber has got offices, I think that guy's me, throughout California. So if you have an employment problem anywhere in California, I can help you. You're going to call that number, 877-525-0700. You're going to make sure it's in your phone, because you may have friends or family that have gone through something very bad at work, something traumatic, and you're going to know who to call, because hey, you listen on the weekends, and you're going to know that this is a guy that can write any brief you need for your employment law case, or he can argue it, because I've already done 3 trials this year, and it's only September, so who knows how many there'll be.
Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married.
Employee alert. Employee alert. Were you ripped off out of commissions or overtime pay? Were you fired because of a medical condition or pregnancy? Did you not get proper meal or rest breaks? Were you denied maternity or paternity leave? Were you sexually harassed by your boss or coworker? Call the Employment Lawyers Group. They've stood up for the rights of employees since the 90s, going up against the nation's largest employers in cases including wrongful termination. Check them out at employeelawca.com. Call the Employment Lawyers Group now at 877-525-0700, and an experienced employee lawyer will tell you if you have a case against a past or present employer. Find out if you have a case now. Call 877-525-0700 and talk to an experienced employment discrimination lawyer. The Employment Lawyers Group. Make your work problem theirs to solve. Call 877-525-0700. 877-525-0700.
This started out with Giselle, who was, I guess, wrongfully terminated, being underpaid, and it's led into a wedding she's not planning on paying for. And Giselle, I can't counsel you on this sort of a thing.
You mean counseling me for how to have a wedding in a hotel I'm not paying for?
Yeah, that too.
Well, do you have any suggestions for my dad? He's older now, and he had a knee replacement and can't be standing up the whole time.
Well, they usually have benches or couches or chairs in the hallways at hotels.
Oh, if it's hot, the hotel I'm thinking has an indoor-outdoor corridor with birds of paradise. Oh, it would be such a beautiful location to get married, and my dad could be sitting down on the couches there.
Well, that sounds like a dandy idea.
Oh, but if it's really hot and he's in his 70s, he might need something to drink.
Do bartenders or waitstaff go in the area and take orders?
We don't want to pay for anything.
Right.
That's important. We got wrongfully terminated, and you say it will take more than 4 to 5 weeks to get money from the case.
Well, at a lot of hotels these days, I'm thinking they have those pitchers of lemon or orange infused ice water. It's free to whoever is in the lobby.
That is a great idea. Oh, and the cups are free too.
Then it's all set.
Yeah. Oh, but my aunt is diabetic. What if her blood sugar gets low?
Well, doesn't she carry something if that were to happen?
I know, but she's coming to a wedding. I think we should have something for her.
Do they have any 3 apples at the front desk of this hotel? I mean, afternoon cookies?
Yes! I know the times they put out the cookies!
There you go!
Oh, I still think we could use the banquet rooms.
Why?
Well, somebody could set up the tables.
Without paying?
There's a lot of understaffing now after the pandemic. They probably won't even notice.
You're going to set up the tables in the banquet room?
Probably a lot more people than just my aunt will want those cookies. They're super good. Have you ever tried them?
Would it look suspicious if, say, 75 to 80 of your guests, well, the rest too, including the Andersons and the Helms, all brought little 7-ounce cups of infused ice water to the banquet room and sat at the tables and ate the chocolate chip cookies?
Jeez! Well, now that you say that, there probably won't be enough water for all of them.
Oh, come now. You'll just have to wait until more ice melts and there's more water in those cisterns.
Well, at least with the hotel, they have nice bathrooms where I can change into my dress.
Are you totally opposed to, say, ordering an appetizer and eating in the hallway?
Well, I wouldn't feel quite right being that the bride is supposed to foot the bill, and I am letting my guests order appetizers in the hallway.
I see what you mean.
Do you think we could have dancing?
How?
If there's another wedding at the hotel, maybe the music would be loud enough.
And if there is, maybe you could just blend in.
Oh, gosh, I wouldn't feel right grazing another wedding's buffet.
I wasn't suggesting that. I thought all your guests, 100 of you in the hallway, dressed in wedding attire, could claim you're there for the other wedding if anyone has.
Well, then where would my actual ceremony be?
Well, I thought the stage of one of the empty banquet rooms that don't have a locked door.
Well, what about the flowers?
You said you could pose by the birds of paradise. They naturally have indoor-outdoor space.
No, I have to have some type of cut flowers.
The good thing about a hotel is a lot of them have potted flowers in various locations. How would you feel about temporarily using them just for pictures?
Well, to tell you the truth, I have to keep mine. This is my wedding.
As a licensed attorney, I can't counsel you to convert hotel lobby flowers to your own personal possession, at least while they're still fresh.
I know, but there's no other way.
Well, we've got most of this covered, but what about party favors? I know there's a fancier name for the things guests take home from weddings.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we could think of something. Oh, they have a spa, too.
Are there better towels in there?
Like minds think alike.
Huh?
And yeah, they're usually in an attendant when you walk into the spa.
Wait, do they have water bottles in there too?
Score! A whole refrigerator.
Well, then maybe you won't have to entirely rely on the pitcher of melting ice.
Are you suggesting anything about the bathrobes?
How many do they have in the spa?
Oh, dozens. Probably 30 to 40.
Well, maybe not all of your guests will want a 1,000 thread count bathrobe with the hotel emblem on it.
Yeah, they can get the soaps and bottles of hand cream.
Yeah, you've got the party favors covered, the drinks, the flowers, the seating. What's left for this wedding in the hotel you don't pay for?
Have any of your clients ever told you that you help in way more ways than just suing when they get wrongfully terminated?
I've been doing this since 1993. I know how it is when you're wrongfully terminated and out of money, but you have a due date to get married before a jumbo mortgage comes due in the end of August, and your groom doesn't think he'll enjoy the honeymoon after the due date of the jumbo mortgage.
I wish things were different.
Well, I certainly do too. Things are pretty drab right now with a soaring pandemic never over, your wrongful termination.
My husband will not be able to perform after what they do to him.
Who will do what?
After he done paid the jumbo payment.
The jumbo loan payment is supposed to be made to a loan shark?
I'm afraid so.
Oh, Jesus R. Perez, now I understand.
Is there anything else you can think of?
Maybe forget about the party favors being given to the guests and sell them yourself.
Mr. Gerber, are you counseling me to go to the hotel, steal 30 to 40 bathrobes of an extremely high thread count, a whole refrigerator of plastic water bottles with the hotel logo, all the soap in all the bathrooms, the hand cream too, any shampoo, conditioner, combo of both I can get my hands on it, the warm baked cookies by the front desk, any free fruit in the area, the floral arrangements in the lobby, the entire cistern of ice melting on the fruit, all the plastic cups, and pay the loan shark with the sale of said goods?
No. We should demand a quick settlement with the employer of yours. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, and this is pretty typical of the cases I handle. Usually they involve loan sharks and people who've been wrongfully terminated and have a lot of financial problems. But, I don't think I should counsel anybody to go into a hotel and have a wedding and not pay for it. That's just not right. Us lawyers do have ethical limits, but it is pretty rough when somebody gets wrongfully terminated, and especially if they were underpaid wages like this Giselle was paid $6.14 an hour when minimum wage in LA County is $16.04 an hour as of July 1st, 2022. I'm not exactly sure when she started this job, but I know it was before that minimum wage raise, but minimum wage was still a lot more than $6.14 an hour. And on a side note, I am concerned with the 14 cents an hour thing. It bothers me. I feel that their outside influences percolating into this show, and I'm not at liberty to discuss what they are. You'd have to go to the Karl Gerber with a K channel to find out about that. This is a slightly different show now that, we're in 2022, but I am hoping you will call me about a real wrongful termination case you have at 877-525-0700. I do still have offices throughout California, although many of them are vacant at this point after being in the pandemic so long. 877-525-0700 for a top wrongful termination, sexual harassment lawyer. 877-525-0700 if you need to sue for unpaid wages. We have many cases at our firm involving pay stubs in which people are paid wages, and it's very hard to figure out how many hours they're being paid for or what hourly rate it is. And I also want you to know that, for instance, if you're working at a company, if you get a commission, that's a performance-based bonus, and your overtime doesn't have to include that. But if you simply get $100 every day that you show up to encapsulate the umbilical cords or do the accounts receivable in that operation upstairs, that would be a flat rate bonus, and that $100 would be factored into your hourly rate of pay. And should there be a deadline to encapsulate a large number of umbilical cords because the hospital has sent them and FedEx was behind and they all came in on one day, and you have to work, let's say, 16 hours, that overtime for that extra 8 hours in the day has to be based upon the fact that you actually earn your minimum wage plus $100 a day. And this is a mistake many employers make. But the fact that they're not getting paid their flat rate bonus into their overtime, that's a different situation. So once again, I am Karl Gerber, and I am a California employment lawyer since 1993. You should contact me at the office during the week, 877-525-0700. You can catch up on this show, Karl Gerber with a K channel, on YouTube. You can go to one of my websites, employeelawca.com, all one word, and hopefully you can be my next client that I represent who encapsulated umbilical cords. That's 877-525-0700 for a very serious employment lawyer, because a lot of mistakes can be made paying people when it gets hectic and you're encapsulating umbilical cords. 877-525-0700 during the week. Offices throughout California. Actually, this is not a joke. I'd love to have you on this show. The studio I have here can take any input. We can have banjo players, whatever you want. 877-525-0700 if you want to contact.
Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married.
Employee alert. Employee alert. Were you ripped off out of commissions or overtime pay? Were you fired because of a medical condition or pregnancy? Did you not get proper meal or rest breaks? Were you denied maternity or paternity leave? Were you sexually harassed by your boss or coworker? Call the Employment Lawyers Group. They've stood up for the rights of employees since the 90s, going up against the nation's largest employers in cases including wrongful termination. Check them out at employeelawca.com. Call the Employment Lawyers Group now at 877-525-0700, and an experienced employee lawyer will tell you if you have a case against a past or present employer. Find out if you have a case now. Call 877-525-0700 and talk to an experienced employment discrimination lawyer. The Employment Lawyers Group. Make your work problem theirs to solve. Call 877-525-0700. 877-525-0700.
The preceding recorded program is a paid advertisement by the Employment Lawyers Group. We offer this program as a service to our listeners. This station and its management do not endorse or object to the information, views, or opinions discussed in the program.